Joining me now is Middle East analyst Thane Rosenbaum. Thane, good to have you back on the show with us.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thane, there has been this wave of arson balloons, which seems to have increased this week. Now, again, these are kites, colorful balloons with devices attached that either explode, start a fire, or some of these balloons now contain toxic chemicals. And they're being launched from Gaza into Israel, where they've caused millions of dollars worth of damage. Thankfully, no casualties, but certainly not for lack of trying. How do you see the Israeli government responding to this? Because so far there's been a lot of complaints, at least from the residents of southern Israel, that whatever they're doing, it is not enough.
Right. And of course, Netanyahu, with an election coming up, is appearing not to be able to protect the people of Israel who live in the southern border with Gaza. Look, you know, there are thousands of acres that have been destroyed through, forest areas, nature preserves. You know, this is no joke. On the same time, you know, this is being perceived as balloons and kites. This is the bread and circuses of the Palestinian people. It's what they're being given an opportunity to do. Even on a Friday, when there's a ceasefire, they're still doing it. The Israelis have a problem here because they need to take this out, but in what way can they do it, right? And the way to do it oftentimes will result in disproportionate Palestinian loss.
Well, they're kites and they're balloons, and that's part of the problem because, in fact, they're targeted at children. If you look at these social media videos that Hamas has been propagating recently, they make it very clear that the idea is to have these colorful balloons. Obviously, kids are going to be attracted to kites and balloons, even though they have been warned. And thankfully, there hasn't been a casualty so far, but you get that dread that it's only a matter of time.
Look, you know, Hamas has, for the first time in the last year or so, their rockets are actually hitting houses. Iron Dome isn't taking them out. This is yet another play, as you're saying. It's a way to actually attract kids to it. But they're just there to do anything they can to. Remember, this is called the March of Return, and if they can't infiltrate Israel, they're going to do it by way of incendiary balloons.
And some disturbing word out of Islamic Jihad, of course, that is the other terrorist organization operating in Gaza. They're saying that should there be any kind of confrontation with Iran, that they are ready to launch within Israel and attack Israel in retaliation.
They're a true proxy. Iran is betting on it. I mean, Iran has been betting on all of this in Yemen, in Gaza, certainly in Syria and in Lebanon. They're counting on a regional war in which they won't be alone because they've been arming proxies all throughout the Middle East. This is this incredible showdown that we're actually been facing. We may not realize that we're in this extremely, you know, major moment in Middle East history. Something catastrophic might happen. The United States is on the brink of something with Iran. Iran is sending notice to its proxies all throughout the Middle East. Get ready to attack, and we're always going to go after Israel first. And this is what Israel has always been saying. You know, don't look at us as a regional power. We're surrounded by enemies.
Thane, thank you so much. Thane Rosenbaum.